I never thought the day would come when my own son would look at me with doubt in his eyes, eyes that once lit up every time he saw me. But life has a quiet way of shifting, changing, and sometimes breaking the things we once believed could never be touched. The moment my daughter-in-law spoke those words, "Maybe she shouldn't live with us anymore," I felt something inside me go still. Not angry, not shocked, just still. Because in that short sentence, I heard something far deeper. I heard a door closing, a distance forming, a wall being built between me and my own child. And when my son didn't defend me, when he just lowered his head and stayed silent, that silence cut deeper than any argument ever could. That was the moment I knew something had changed in my home. Something had changed in my family. And somehow, without even realizing it, I had become a burden in a place where I once felt needed, loved, and safe. But even then, even as my heart trembled inside my chest, I told myself I wouldn't cry. I told myself I would stay gentle. Because when you're a mother, even pain carries love inside it. My name is Margaret, though most people just call me Maggie. I'm 71 years old, and most of my life has been wrapped around one thing: family. I wasn't a perfect mother, but I was the kind who tried. The kind who stayed up late sewing costumes for school plays. The kind who clapped the loudest at soccer games, even when the other parents asked me to tone it down. And my son, Daniel, well, he was my heart walking around outside my body. He was my only child after years of trying, praying, hoping. So maybe I loved him too much. Maybe I protected him too closely. But when you wait long for a blessing, you hold it gently. When Daniel grew up, he became a quiet, thoughtful man, like his father. He worked hard, saved his money, planned everything carefully. I always admired that about him. And when he met Emily, his future wife, I welcomed her with open arms. She was polite, soft-spoken, and always smiling, at least in the beginning. I tried to make her feel at home. I cooked her favorite meals, remembered her birthdays, even stepped back when I felt she needed space. After my husband passed away, Daniel insisted I move in with them. "Mom, you shouldn't live alone," he said. His voice was warm, sincere. I believed him, I trusted him, and I told myself, this is family taking care of each other. The first few months felt peaceful: quiet breakfasts, shared dinners, small conversations in the hallway. I never asked for much. A small room, a little sunlight, and the feeling of being close to the people I loved most. But feelings shift. People change. Homes change. And slowly, quietly, unnoticed at first, I felt something slipping away. A coldness, a distance, a sense that I wasn't part of their home, just someone living in it. I didn't know it yet, but my daughter-in-law's heart had already begun to turn. And soon, she would turn the heart of the one person I never thought I could lose. As the months went by, the atmosphere in my son's house began to change in ways I did not expect. At first, it was small things, so small that I kept telling myself I was imagining it. Maybe it was just the stress of their new marriage. Maybe it was just my own insecurity. That's what I told myself, because believing the truth felt too painful. But deep down, I felt it. The shift, the distance, the quiet looks. It started with the mornings. I used to wake up early, make breakfast, and place a cup of tea on the table for my son, just like I had done all his life. It was my routine, my way of showing love. But one morning, as I placed the cup on the table, my daughter-in-law, Emily, walked in and sighed softly, like my presence annoyed her. She didn't say anything at first. Just a sigh. But the next day, she said, "It's okay, I'll take care of the kitchen from now on." Her smile was polite, but her tone was not an invitation, it was a boundary. I stepped back, letting her have space. That's what mothers do. We adjust. We make room. We bend so our children don't have to break. But then other things followed. My son, who used to talk to me every night before bed, suddenly became busy. He would sit with Emily in their room, door closed, voices hushed. When he came out, his expressions toward me were softer, careful, like he was choosing his words. One evening, he said, "Mom, maybe you should rest more. You don't have to do everything." I smiled and nodded, but something in me tightened. My son had never spoken to me like that before, not distant, not formal, not like I was someone who was getting in the way. Still, I kept quiet. I told myself, this is normal. New marriage, new routines. Don't overthink. But the tiny moments kept growing. Once, I folded their laundry because I noticed it piling up. When Emily saw me doing it, she said, "You don't need to touch our clothes. I prefer to handle things myself." It wasn't her words. It was her eyes. Cold, guarded, like she was protecting something from me. Another time, I heard them whispering in their room. My name, my habits, my presence. When I walked closer, the whispering stopped. My heart sank. I wasn't used to being an outsider in my own child's life. I wasn't used to doors closing when I approached. But it didn't stop there. Emily started telling my son little things, small complaints dressed as concerns. "Your mom rearranged the pantry again. Your mom said something about the curtains. I feel pressured when she's always around. I just want our own space." I never heard her say these things, but I saw the effects on my son's face. He started looking at me differently. Not unkindly, but with a slight hesitation, like he didn't fully trust my intentions. That hurt more than anything. One night, I heard them arguing softly. Emily whispered, "She's always watching. I feel like I can't breathe." My son replied, "She's my mom. She means well." Emily said nothing after that, but the silence told me everything. She didn't believe it, or maybe she didn't care. Slowly, I felt myself shrinking in that house. Every step I took felt heavy. Every choice I made felt wrong. I tried to stay out of the way. I stayed in my room more. I cooked less. I spoke less. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to be a reason for tension in their marriage. But the more I pulled back, the more strained everything became. Silence replaced the warmth we once shared. My son stopped asking me how I was. He stopped sitting beside me when watching TV. Our conversations became short, practical, empty. And Emily? She barely looked at me unless she had to. The real problem began the day I found something unexpected. I was looking for a small box I kept in the closet, just an old tin filled with prayer cards. When I moved a bag aside, I noticed a folded paper with my name scribbled on the corner. I knew I shouldn't read it, but something inside me whispered that I needed to. It wasn't a letter. It was a list, written by Emily, a list of issues. And my name was at the top. Under it, small bullet points. She interferes in our routines. I feel judged. She doesn't understand boundaries. I want our own home. She makes me uncomfortable. My heart cracked quietly, like paper tearing. Interferes? Judges? Uncomfortable? I had only ever tried to help. I had only ever tried to love. I sat on the edge of my bed, holding that paper, feeling a sadness I had never known. It wasn't anger. It wasn't betrayal. It was something heavier, being misunderstood by someone I tried so hard to welcome, but I didn't say a word. And maybe that was my mistake. Because silence, I learned, does not protect relationships, it weakens them. Things got worse when Emily's parents visited for a weekend. Suddenly, I was invisible. They acted like the house wasn't mine too. They took over the kitchen, the living room, the conversations. One afternoon, I heard Emily's mother whisper to her, "Why is she still living here?" Emily sighed and said softly, "My husband hasn't figured out how to talk to her." That sentence replayed in my mind for days. Still here? Talk to her? Like I was a temporary guest who had overstayed. I didn't confront anyone. I simply stepped back further. I spent most of my time in my room, knitting, reading, praying, waiting for the old warmth to return. It didn't. The distance became a wall. The wall became a silence. The silence became a truth I didn't want to face. My son was slipping away from me. And the woman he married was pulling him quietly, gently, firmly to her side. The day it all broke open was a day that began like any other, quiet, ordinary, harmless on the surface. But by the time the sun set, nothing in my life would ever be the same again. I still remember that morning as if it were marked on my heart. The house was quiet, unusually quiet. Even the clock on the wall seemed to tick slower, like it knew something was about to break. I was folding laundry in the living room. Simple chores always helped me keep my mind steady. Then I heard them, not loud, not aggressive, just cold. My daughter-in-law's voice drifted down the hallway, sharp enough to cut through the air. "Mark, you need to set boundaries with your mother." My hands paused. I didn't want to eavesdrop, but their words came through clearly, whether I wanted to hear them or not. "She's always here," she said. Always. I feel like this isn't our home anymore." My son didn't answer right away. I waited for him to defend me. I waited for the boy who used to hold my hand when crossing the street, the boy who used to say, "Mom, I'll always take care of you," but instead, he sighed. A long, tired sigh I had never heard from him before. Maybe you're right," he said softly. Those words felt like someone placed a hand over my heart and pressed down. My daughter-in-law continued, "We're starting a family. We need space. She depends on you for everything. And honestly, Mark, it's too much for me." My throat tightened. I never wanted to be a burden. I never asked for anything. I cooked, I cleaned, I stayed out of their way. I told myself I was helping them. I told myself they liked having me there. But maybe I had been wrong. Then came the sentence that changed everything. "Tell her it's time to leave." I closed my eyes. Something inside me fell, quietly, without anger, without noise. Just a deep, sinking ache. My son whispered, "I don't know how to say that to her." My daughter-in-law replied, "Then I will." That was the moment I felt the last piece of my old life slipping away. I suddenly understood that the little tensions, the cold smiles, the closed doors, they were all leading to this exact moment. I had lost my place in their home. Worse, I had lost my place in my son's heart. And though I stood there in silence, clutching a towel to my chest, something inside me whispered, "This is the moment everything changes." I packed quietly the next morning. No one helped me. No one said a word. As I folded my clothes, I remembered all the years I spent working extra jobs to give Daniel a better life. The nights I stayed up while he was sick. The dreams I had for him, a good wife, a happy home. And now here I was, packing a small bag in the corner of that very home, feeling like an outsider. When I stepped toward the door, Daniel finally spoke. "Mom, don't be upset. This is just how things are." I smiled. A small, tired smile. "I'm not upset," I lied. Because the truth was, I was heartbroken, but anger would not heal me. And bitterness would not bring my son back. So as I walked out of the house, I whispered a quiet prayer, not for myself, but for them. "May you always have peace. May you always find love. May your home never feel as empty as mine feels today." I left with nothing but a small suitcase, yet my heart carried years of memories. And even after all the pain, I still blessed them, because that is what a mother does. She loves. Even when she is forgotten. Even when she is pushed away. Even when her heart is breaking quietly inside. And with that, my healing finally began. Today, I live a quiet life filled with small joys, morning sunlight, fresh flowers, warm tea. Daniel visits more often now, but I don't rely on it the way I once did. I learned that love doesn't vanish. It just changes shape. My heart still aches sometimes, but it also feels lighter, freer. If there's one thing life has taught me, it's this: you can't control how others love you. But you can choose how gently you love them back, with boundaries, grace, and understanding. And even after all the pain, I still see my son, and even Emily, as blessings I was honored to love. Because motherhood doesn't end with disappointment. It continues with forgiveness.